So we started with our primary colors first, and we practiced tinting by adding white, and then toning by adding the cool colors underneath. And on the back of your sheet, it has the secondary colors, but we, because of COVID, we're consolidating the project, and we're going to practice moving to using these techniques and making a form look three-dimensional with the same color. So I went ahead and copied all those, the colors that you're going to use for each of your spheres. So we're going to do orange. You can do it in any order, but I have it, of course. There's green, violet, and orange. Okay? So you're going to do one of each sphere, and you're going to get each of those colors for each sphere. I attached the value scale for you to look at, as well as the diagram for you to understand what all of these mean. So when we're doing shading your still life objects, I can say, make sure you have your highlights, which is where your light source is at, your shadow or your cast shadow, which is underneath your object, and when we're talking about form and building the value, we're going to practice that by doing the same thing we did here, but applying it to the sphere. So we're going to practice it together. So let's go ahead and collect our colors. First one, let's practice, is green. So we're going to need our white, our true green, apple green, Parma violet again, light cerulean blue, which we also just used for the blue, apple green, and the same thing goes here too. You'll still be able to experiment and try different colors once you start working. This is just to help you get started. So my white, my true green, my apple green, my Parma violet, my light cerulean blue. For my midtones, I need my violet again. Notice how we keep using a lot of the same colors. Crimson Lake, so the dark red we used for the red. Tuscan red. I don't know if I have a Tuscan red in here, actually. There we go. Tuscan red is almost looks like the burgundy red. Dark green again. Alrighty. So these are the colors we need for our green. So we have our white, our green, our cool colors, which are the violets and blues, and then our complements. Remember we talked about on the color wheel, every color across from each other, it's a complement. So we're doing green. Primary colors create the secondary colors, so we create green by adding blue and yellow together. So we're going to start, apple green is this lighter green right here. There's two different levels, so it looks like a Granny Smith apple. Like this color. Oh, you didn't get it? I got it for you. All right. So we're practicing all of this so that once you start drawing your objects, you'll be able to understand how to layer these colors together. Okay? So to do a sphere, you got all of your colors. we're going to start the same way we did with the value scale, but we're applying it to the sphere, right? So we're going to start with our highlight. So we're going to take our light greens. Remember, we want to establish the hue first. So our ball is green. We're going to start with getting the hue established first, right? So if you notice, the highlight is right here. So we're going to do our greens first and go light. The highlights in the middle. I like to move in circular motions because it helps me get an even tone. Notice how I'm holding my pencil further away, so I don't bear down that much. And then as I get closer to the base, I'm going to start adding a little bit more of that green. As well as the edge. So the same thing we did here on the value scale. Right? So we started lightly and then increased that pressure. So I'm kind of looking at that sphere on top as reference for my value. So see how I'm starting to increase the pressure along those outside edges. I don't ever want to push down all the way though. Remember, that's why I said I tried to always use the analogy of like when you go on your first date. You want to make a good impression. You don't want to scare them off. Take it slow. You don't know if you like them yet. You don't want to make a commitment. So you start off light. Now we're going to start, use the other green. Do the same thing. We're layering those two together. We're creating our base color. All right. So on the bottom of our color, I have it labeled for you here. To create our tones and midtones, we can add our Parma violet, so our light violet. Start creating that shadow on the bottom. Notice how I'm still going light. I haven't pushed down hard anywhere yet. I don't want to push down hard because that's where, remember, the color pencils are wax. So once I push down, I cannot take that away. So you always start with a slow build-up. So I have my Parma violet. For my shadows, the violet, I can lay down my violet, light color. I can even put a little bit into that bottom edge of my sphere. There's a little bit of shadow on top too. Notice I'm going in circular motions, building it up. I'm going to take my dark green and put in my dark green on top of those layers. And we don't have to do all three. We can just practice one. So I just want you to practice doing one. And I'm going to also use that dark green in my shadow. Okay, try to use the colors that are there I started with my violet. I'm going to also use my reds. See how the red turns it black? And I can also use, if I want to make my sphere darker, I can add some of that red into that bottom part of the ball too. All right. So I've got a good base started. And now I've come back with my lighter greens, my hue color, and I'm starting to bear down more pressure. And for my highlight, I can come back in with my highlight and put my highlight in. See how the white is going to start blending that color together. And I can come back with my green. So now I want to, remember, final layer. After I've put all those colors down, I can come back over with my green. You always want to lay the hue on top. That's the color that you want. So I'm putting my green back on top. I have all of my colors laid out that I used. And I'm going to layer both of those greens on top. And I can even come back with my white. Thank you. There we go. So that's how you get your sphere using those colors. So if you're doing a green apple or anything that's green, a lizard, this is a recipe to get those results. If you want to bump up the shadows, like I can see that it gets darker, I can come back in and add darker green. I'm using the dark green here. Look at that. It's making that shadow even richer. So I have all that color below. Don't be afraid to turn your paper if you need to as well. And you should have a nice smooth finish. Your color pencil should be smooth. It should look like a painting. Bless you. So I just wanted to show you how to use these greens, or how to use the Prismacolors, so that you would be happier with your artwork in the end. Okay? The still life that we're going to be making is, we're going to be using, fall items like leaves and candy. So it's going to be smaller objects. Your paper is 8 by 10, which is this size. Look at that. Alrighty? Just keep bumping it up. You don't have to do all three, but if you want to practice all three, you can. But I have one for violet, one for orange, and this is pretty much I'm giving you a recipe of colors to use to get these results, okay? So you have these that you can hold on to as you're working, but the most important thing to think about, if you notice, we're using a lot of the same colors. The violets for your cool colors, the white for your tinting, and then we're always layering, you know, the cool colors and the complement underneath whatever color it is, okay? So we're going to get started because it's actually